I have a hard time letting my first trimester go. Second trimester, my first hour is cinema, which is pretty cool. We have the choir teacher, Mr. Peterson, one of those randomly awesome, crazy old guys. They're mostly skater kids in my class. So everyone's sort of sleepy. No one really does anything. The only awesome people are like Jacob and Alicia. They're pretty awesome. Cinema's pretty cool. Obviously not going to be what everyone thinks it's like. Just go in and watch movies all day. We immediately started talking about camera angles and how well a movie is depending on its performance and its actors, camera work, and stuff like that. And our second hour is swimming, which kind of sucks because it's in the middle of winter. I'm taking swimming because I have to have a PE credit, and I hate senseless running around in a circle, and I'd rather be swimming in a line back and forth across a pool than running in a circle and playing stupid games. When we swam on Tuesday, I walked out of the natatorium to go across the street to the high school. By the time I got to the high school, I had my comb, I was combing my hair, and you could see the ice crystals falling off. It was freaking frozen. I mean, there are only 2 other girls in my swimming class, and all the rest of the guys are either they're on the swim team, we're on the swim team, or they're cowboys. There's about 20 guys and 3 girls. Third hour's orchestra. Orchestra is the best. Only problem though, when you have orchestra in the middle of the day, then you end up humming or whistling Carol of the Bells the rest of the day. After lunch, I go to math. Algebra is easier than geometry. Geometry was so hard for me. Instead of like them just giving you a equation and then you plug stuff into the equation, you'd have to take a shape. There would be a number off to the side. And when I see an equation, I can say, okay, to get to this equation, I know the steps to change it. With shapes, I'm like, well, what? I just struggle with geometry so much. I like algebra better. A lot of teachers, they give you this getting to know you sheet, and you fill the getting to know you sheet out. And it like asks you, do you like sitting in the front or do you like sitting in the back? And why? I like sitting in the front because I can see. Yet I would always get put in the back, which was probably one of my problems. If you stick a person in the back and they can't see over the sea of people in front of them, they just end up falling asleep. But my teacher, Mr. Young, he put me in the front, right in front of where he is writing on the board, so I can see, and it's amazing. And then my 5th hour is human biology. I have Leslie in my class. First day of the trimester, we have these quiz sheets, which actually I remember using in the 7th grade. He's like, well, it's gonna be in a stack, and I don't want you sitting there all day looking for it. So go grab some colored pencils and color the outsides, so that you can tell which one's yours. And Leslie had this teal colored pencil. She was like, oh, I'm just gonna color this blue. And I was like, what? That's not blue. She's like, this is blue. Look at the French. It says blue. And I was like, yes, but it has a word after it, and that word makes the blue mean differently than it would normally mean, or whatever. We got in this huge argument, and Mr. Cox was standing in front of our table because we sit in the front. I guess he'd been talking or something. And she's like, teal is the same as blue. And I was like, teal is not the same as blue. We finished our argument, and we were both like, ah, fine, whatever. And then we look over, and he was like laughing his head off. And then at the end of class, he was getting mad at some guys that were sitting in the back, and they had been talking a little bit. So he's like, you guys are loud. And then he looked over at me and Leslie, and he's like, you guys are even louder. And Leslie's like, I do not care what Emily says. Teal and blue are the same. Finally, 6th hour is seminary. All the seminary teachers are pretty freaking amazing. They all have the differentness. So I had Brother Anderson, I've had Brother Black, I've had Brother Craven, and he is just crazy insane. There are 2 other seminary teachers, Brother Mixon and Brother Reese. Brother Berger he's an amazing teacher, he really is. Besides, it's just one there who is not. You're going something. But I'm the class, that's right. I'm so articulate. Just not even change it, just sort of nudge it. I'm a nerd. Ha. I'm intelligent. Never mind. Yeah. Ow. The next theme, I wanted to be music. I wrote a book recently for National Novel Writing Month in November. There's a part in it where there's a girl and her family dies. She goes and she moves in with these people. She's sort of a genius. She plays piano. She was in with this couple, and the wife lady, she plays piano too, and so they're playing this duet. I'm gonna read it. I'm not sure whether I can find it or not. Cheating, I'm gonna use a search. Should have found it earlier. Ah, found it. Ha, that was good, Mona said, grinning. Annalise nodded her agreement. Mona is my main character, and Annalise is the wife. Yes, ha, I played piano for my high school and college jazz bands. By far the coolest thing I ever did. Music people are the best to hang out with, she said. Yes, most of my best friends were in orchestra, and we were basically family. They were my absolute favorite. Annalise smiled happily. There are those moments when you're playing that you feel like you're going to burst into uncontrollable laughter because you're so happy. The rising notes or a crescendo makes your emotion rise and it makes you sit up a little straighter. Mona laughed delightedly. Yes, yes, and you feel so connected in harmony with everyone else. I always loved playing in a group, like being part of a whole. It's the best. Exactly. They grinned at each other. Also, Mona plays violin. I guess I'm just not creative. Main character is a lot like me, except for awesomer. Oh. Anyway, yeah, music. The first artist that I want to talk about is Queen. Queen was our first favorite band way back in the 5th grade. I really liked their music because they're just classic. They're a good band. It was like deep. It completely blew my mind as a 5th grader. I had no idea what was going on, but I could tell it was amazing. Next artist is Weird Al Yankovic, aka Sexy Al Yankovic. His music is funny on 2 levels. It's on the making fun of people humor level, and then it's funny on the nerdy reference jokes level. He's just brilliant. He finds a more creative way to make fun of people, and I'm always jealous of other people's creativity because I'm not creative at all. I don't even know why I own this hat. It's pretty intense. I don't remember where I got it. Probably Walmart. My next band is The Killers. Didn't really stick out as much as the other bands did. The Killers, their music is more subtly good. My next artist is Ben Folds. I like Ben Folds because of his crazy mad piano skills. I've always secretly wanted to play the piano, but I'm cursed. A lot of his music is a little more poetic. In the 8th grade, my English teacher, we had to do a unit on poetry, and he hated poetry. He didn't like having to find out what they meant. He totally, completely hated that. Poetry isn't written to be scrutinized, and if you try and torture it to find meaning out of it, you will ruin it. Classical music is, if you understand what's going into making classical music and what's going on, then I think you're able to appreciate classical music more. The last thing I want to talk about is YouTube bands. With a lot of the bands that you find on YouTube, I find it more nerdy. It does sort of make you a nerd or a geek, depending on your preference. There's Hank Green, all caps. It's pretty awesome.